show is Prudent Woman with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. Would like to apologize for having come to you late. We are aware we are 25 minutes late. Bear with us is the issues of connectivity because of the rains and load shedding. Thank you so much for waiting for us. And I would like to say to all the Prudent women, happy Loves Month. You see, today I'm dressed in red and white to celebrate the month of love. I trust that all of you are ready to celebrate your loved ones, to be celebrated. And you know, women were always challenged to say we are the ones we think we must be celebrated and we don't celebrate others. I'd like to invite all of you, let us celebrate our loved ones in this month of February as we look back and celebrate the love that we share with our loved ones. I would not like to take some more time. I want to say to you today, it's another show as promised. We are done with our back to school, but today we said, once you're done with your schooling, you start with employment. So tonight we speak on workplace, the challenges, the demands of the workplace. And I have with me such a wonderful guest. And I would like to say, Dr. Mkhabelo, thank you so much for setting time aside to join us, to come and empower us on how to cope with the workplace demands. So tonight I have with me Dr. Ines Mkhabelo. She's an human resource specialist. Dr. Mkhabelo, as I welcome you, and of course, I would also like to apologize to you. I know time is precious, that we could not start on time, but I would like to invite you to greet our guests. Beyond that, I would like to invite you to just take us through what is the purpose of human resources units in our workplaces, because most of us, we tend to think it starts with them hiring us. And once I'm employed, I'm not supposed to engage with them. Once I engage with them, they are about to fire me. So I'd like to invite you, please greet our audience and tell us what is the purpose of having this human resource unit in the workplace.
Good afternoon to the listeners. Good afternoon, Rhulani. Yeah, it's interesting. The way you put it, to say only engage with HR when you do on board and when you exit. But that is not the role of HR. HR is an engine of the organization. We have moved from a transaction point of view. We are in the era where we partner with the line function in any organization. For organization to function, it needs a skilled and a capable workforce. And it's through HR units wherein you are able to look at what the organization intend to achieve, the mission, the vision, the strategy, and you assist the organization to say who should come in and join the workforce. And you do a projection in terms of forecasting in HR planning to say how many people must come in, what skills is required, and when they are in, the role of HR is to make sure that the work environment is safe and healthy so that the employees who are in can be able to be productive. If we don't do that, you can come in and nothing will happen. So the role of HR is not only on the hiring and firing. We have to as well develop you and make sure that you are taken care of when you are inside and you are protected mentally, physically, and psychologically. That is, in summary, the role of HR. It's bigger than just a paper. It's bigger than the advert, an application, and saying you are fired. And firing, it's a process. Before we said, can you exit? There should be a lot that is done before we can say, truly now, you can go. Thank you.
You know, it's out of such misconceptions that we saw it as important to have a conversation such as this one, more especially with our young people who have just exited the universities, TVETs. Now they are ready for the workplace. And some of them join the workplace and they get to be so frustrated because there are a lot of challenges within the workplace, you know, and one tends to think you are in the workplace on your own. there is no one who can support you. And I love what you said, to say HR is there to look after the whole workforce, which says to me, you are there to give us support. I will just want us to take it a little bit back. When you join an institution, you are normally placed under probation. I would like you to let us know what is the purpose of probation, because again, another misconception, when you're looking for a job, when you're sitting in an interview, they will say, can you work at any time? I say, yes, 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 not knowing what you're getting yourself into. And many a times when you are there, in the beginning, you tend to do everything, not looking at what is before you, but later you tend to default. And that's where we find ourselves in challenges. But we thought this conversation is very important. Let us be educated about this function. When they place you on probation, what is it that you are seeking to establish with me as a new employee?
Thanks, Rhulani. Probation, it's a very, very critical element in the organization. One thing that each one of us has to know is that once you apply, you sit, and the employer or the institution said, we think you have a capability to come in and work with us. Then when you
Yes.
are in, because when you are there, remember, we only see your CV, we talk to you like you are talking to me now. I can say a lot of things that is convincing, but it has to be tested. It has to be tested so that we are able to see, yes, we have seen you can be able to do the work, but where is the gap when you are in the organization? So it's like we are putting your knowledge into test, not to test to fire. I need to emphasize this: to test to be able to develop further, to test to be able to get that juice inside you. Because when you are working, we will be able to notice where you lack. And within that, the probation differ in terms of the organization. Some they can set you are in 3 months probation, it can be 3 to 12 months. But within that period, they are checking, they are mentoring, they are coaching, they are showing you how things are done in the organization. What you need to do is to apply your theory, the things that you have learned, the things you know, into the workplace. So during that period, your mentor or your coach will be saying, how best can I help this person? Even if you are failing, you will be able to go and able to look at the things that we can put you on the training on. So it's a period where we check your gap. It's a period where we can say to you, please try to look at this area. You lack in this area, and we put you into a training program. When it does not work, then we will be communicating with you to say, how can we help you? Thanks, Rhulani.
So what you are saying to me, it says the probation period, it's actually to my benefit. And the misconception is that I'm being put in a microscope so that you can get rid of me. And what I'm getting is, this is where I'm also supposed to shout out. I work for an organization. I'll just share with you that when I joined this organization, and I tend to think that's what happens in all different organizations. They tend to use acronyms. I went to the organization and I went to a meeting. The whole meeting, they were using acronyms. You hear someone saying, you have to submit your SDBIP, when, you have to submit your what. And the whole meeting, I was blank. Should I have known that still under probation, which says I must go back to my mentor or my supervisor and say, I've noted 1, 2, 3, and 4. I do not know what this means. I would have been in a better position, because you know what I did? I think I took more than 4 weeks reading all sorts of documents for this institution, just to be able to find that acronym, doctor, to say, what does this mean? And this happens everywhere. And the minute you don't grasp such acronyms, because once they're used time and again, it means that is the language that speaks in that organization. You can be frustrated, and you will understand why our young people who were so sure that I want to be this and this professional, once they get there, this is something else. I cannot cope. I want to quit. And this is where we tend to see people changing before they even start. Because you go in, you get frustrated, you think everyone's just talking over your head. I love it that you have highlighted to us is the purpose of a probation. But now you're talking about
Rhulani, I think I missed you because from my side you froze. But what I think I had, and you will quickly have to correct me, I think you wanted to understand the issue of induction. Can you hear me? Regardless, let me talk about the induction issue, to say when you sit during the probation period on a quarterly basis, your supervisor will be sitting and giving you a feedback on how you are performing and indicating a gap on you. One thing that we encourage from human resource is to say the gap does not mean that you are not good enough. The gap just show the area wherein attention has to be placed in. Sometimes it's not a gap because you need to go for a training. It might be a gap because maybe you are not free. Like you said, you think when they said you are in probation, they are watching everything. And instead of unleashing your potential, you are reserved and you are so serious about everything. And during that period, you miss the issue. But the most important thing is that every organization, when you come in, they are able to take you to the induction program. Induction program is where they orientate you about the regulations, the rules, the policies within in which you operate. And in that space, that's where they are telling you everything. They will tell you the reason why you have to enter into performance agreement. They will tell you about the labor relation related issues within your space in which you are operating. They will take you through to say what is it that is expected from you, and even talk to you about the level in which you need to perform, or the standard that is required from you, even how do you behave in the workplace. So induction is very critical and it's very important. Most of the people, what we observed in the workplace, once they are in and you call them for the orientation and induction, they feel like they know it, especially our youth or the young people who come to the workplace. Because in the induction, during the induction period, they are not going to call you a PhD person to come and present to you. but they are going to call somebody who has been in that space for a very long time, the one who's skilled and knowledgeable, the one who knows what to do, and even will guide you to say, if things turn this way, this is how you need to handle yourself, or you need to handle the situation. So most of the time we see the negativity in the way the new recruit accept the induction process. You make it compulsory because they must see it, but of course you will see the attitude that people give you when you are busy presenting on the induction period. But I will encourage everyone, even if it's a new employment and you are working somewhere, remember, the previous workplace is not the new workplace. The previous workplace will have its rules, it will have its policies, it will have its own code of conduct. You are in a new place. You need to be told to say, how do we behave here? How do we do things in this workspace where you are? So that you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the policies of that organization. Because the intention is where the employer sell out their vision and their mission and make you come in to have a common understanding of that organization, and even to be inducted in the culture of the organization. In certain organizations, things are done differently. I can cite an example. You find people saying, no, but my previous employer didn't have a problem with me coming 5 minutes late. In certain organizations, that is a no-go area. So you need to know. In certain organizations, they have flexi hours. In certain organizations, they don't have flexi hours. So I think induction is very crucial, and I will encourage each one of us, when we get new jobs, even if it's me, I move from where I am to a new environment, I need to sit down and understand and allow myself to be inducted so that I can give my best in that organization, knowing very well why that organization exists, because you will only hear it when you attend an induction program. Thanks, Man Rhulani. I'm not sure, Man Rhulani, if we are still together. I am. I am. Okay. Okay. Thank you. The other thing that I would want to go through it's, as I was explaining, I was talking about the code of conduct. Why do we have code of conduct in the workplace? Code of conduct, it tells us on the behavior. How are we expected to behave in the workplace in a professional manner? It tells us about the ethics. There are so many things that is happening around us. There are rules and policies within the organization. For example, you may hear that there is, in each an organization, there is a spokesperson. And you may wonder, why can't everyone go and say something about the organization they work for? Because they have the view or they have read the document in that organization. That is part of work ethics, to say it's not all of us who will go out there and speak. And what do we do when we are outside? You might meet me and be with me in a certain gathering. That is not for the organization that I work for, but it's a social gathering. And my professionalism does not allow me to engage anyone in the matter of the organization that I work for, unless if I'm mandated to do so. So those are part of the code of conduct. And it's very important, especially to our youth or the young people who enter into the work environment, because you find that in the engagement, especially one thing that I will indicate, especially in the public service, I'm not sure about other work environment, but in the public service, if you are in the public service, one code of conduct is that you cannot engage on political discussion in the workspace. We call ourselves administrators to say when we are there, we are administrators. The intention and the what is expected from us in that point is to do the work and serve the citizen. And just imagine if you have to engage in the political discussion and you make the work environment a political arena, it will be chaos, and who suffer at the end is the citizen that we have to serve. So it's very important to adhere to the code of conduct. And it is the code of conduct that will lead you when there are issues that are raised against you to say you contravene this particular policy. They use a code of conduct, which of course you should have been made known of during the induction. And that code of conduct is what they will be able to use it when you are sitting now on a disciplinary issue. As much as we take care of the employees as human resource, it's also the responsibility of the employer to be involved or to manage unwanted behavior. And it is in the code of conduct wherein we can be also be told, or it will guide you on how to behave and treat fellow employees in your workspace. You will be able to be told what to do and what not to do when it comes to a fellow employees. Again, the conduct that you have to do is be able to say, when I serve the client, either it's a citizen or it's a stakeholder or it's a shareholder, what is expected from you. So it's very important to know the code of conduct. I can simply, in a simple way, to say a code of conduct is just telling you what to do and what not to do when you are in workplace, and what to do and what not to do when you are outside your workplace when it's come to the organization. We see a lot of trends now, people being called to account because of the comments that they made in the social media. So we encourage to say be a responsible person even when you engage in a social media. This you will only know when you know the policies of the organization that you serve in. And one thing that I will want to share with you uh, is the issue of the bullying. Is it happening in the workplace? Definitely, yes, it's happening. But you need to know, most of the time we think it's happening at schools, it's only those teenagers, but you must know a teenager grow and a teenager become an adult and a teenager become an employee or an employer. So that unwanted behavior, if it cannot be corrected from where it starts, it just become a culture of Ebola. And it becomes very difficult now because you are an adult, you enter into a workplace, you continue with the unwanted behavior. The difference is in the workplace, there are policies that prevent each one of us to conduct ourselves in the manner that cause a harm to fellow employees. And we know that when you are bullied, you shrink. It doesn't mean when I'm an adult and I'm Dr. Mkabele, if there is a bully in the workplace, I cannot shrink. But it is based on HR to make people aware, to empower people, to equip people, so that as we continue to engage in the workplace, I am free if I'm bullied to say, hey, I'm bullied. It's not only the senior or the junior, it happened both ways. Some juniors are bully. They are so bullied that you hear their supervisors saying, when I have to allocate work, I have stress. I do not know how to approach Ines. Even if I try, I have to think twice. So it means that person is a buller. They say things that harm. They say things that humiliate other people. That is bullying in the workplace and is not accepted. Most of the time, you find we experience that when it's come to maybe it's a reporting time, the organization or the meeting is aware that if it's time for so and so, all what we are going to do is to laugh, because unwanted remarks will be said to that person, and it makes the person to lose confidence. It makes the person to be mentally stressed. Some, they just give an excuse not to be in a particular meeting. So yes, bullying happen in the workplace, but we need to know it's not acceptable. And those who are bullied, they have the right to go to HR or to labor relation and said, I'm experiencing a bullying within my workplace, and this is what is happening. And there are processes that HR will follow to be able to correct that behavior. If the bull is just not right mentally, he will be referred or she will be referred to the employee health and wellness for assistance, because some, they are not well. But also it is the responsibility of us as colleagues not to encourage it. Like, I want to give an example. When you look at the teenagers bullying each other, there are those who are laughing. When you laugh, you encourage. If it's in the workplace and there is somebody who's bullied, because this person, every time the person has to report or do something, you are laughing. You must know that you are encouraging bullying in the workplace, and you have to stop, and we have to stop it. So that's one thing that is, it's, we see it, it's happening, we correct it, and we go to the root of that to say, why are you a buller? Some people, they don't know because it's in their system. But we need to know that if you need help, you must seek help from employee health and wellness. There are processes that they will be able to take you through that. So I want to encourage even the young ones to say, the youth, when you come in, don't accept to be bullied. There are policies. Know your policies. Know where to go. In HR, you can go. There is no one that has a right to make another person feel humiliated. We all have to respect one another, and human dignity is very important. According to our principle, if you are in public service, you know that we must live by the values and the principle of our constitution when it's come to human rights and the professionalism in the workplace. I just want to believe that it's similar everywhere. Even if it's a private sector, it's similar. I think there are policies that does not allow people to bully one another. Some, they even go to the extent of wanting to terminate their services. That's how serious it is, because they feel stressed. They feel they cannot cope anymore in the workplace. So I think it's very important to know that there are policies that protect you. You don't have to be bullied. When we are in the public service, we normally joke to say we all came here through Z83. We all apply for a job. So all of
Yes.
us, we are here to do one thing. So don't allow to be bullied, refuse it, and protect those whom you observed they are bullied and help them. Thanks,
Mm.
Rhulani.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you that you were able to continue. Our apologies that we're off just for a minute, but we have been listening to you. You have shared quite a lot on how to cope with bullying. Um, I, I have this question from one of our listeners on how to set boundaries. You know, it can be boundaries in terms of bullying. It can be boundaries in terms of the work that you're given. When I asked you about induction, I spoke about a supervisor who's excited to say, I've got someone who's coming to take away the load from me. So how do you set boundaries in the workplace? Because at times, not to say you must always stick to your job description. I'm one person who believes you must not stick to your job description, but you must be open to learn new things. But it's important to set boundaries so that you are able to meet your targets, because without boundaries, you find yourself all over and you're not able to make it. Yeah.
Um, you know, the first thing, although we also encourage to say don't stick to your job description, because then you won't know the other parts. I
Yes.
always encouraged my team to say don't stick to what you have to do. Just imagine me shifting in my position and you have to come in. I want you, all of you, to come in. So for you to come in, you must also know what is happening next door. If you
Mm,
don't know, you only stick to your area. You are limiting
yes.
your career, because
Mm,
as you go the ladder, you don't only focus on one thing. You focus on different areas of work. However, we have in the workplace a performance agreement wherein you agree on how to perform and the standards, and that need to be respected. That's where we
mm,
set boundaries. We set boundaries to say, if I agree to perform according to this standard and I'm allocated this workload to do, if there is a need that is added, we need to reprioritize and sit down and agree to say which one takes priority in here and how do we adjust our target, because without adjusting target, certain work responsibilities is going to suffer. So communication, 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 and we reprioritize. We need to send boundaries. I know that some of certain areas they will indicate to say you are appointed 24 hours, you have all the resources, we have given you work tools, we have given you all those things. But we are human beings and we must rest and we must rethink. I need to have time to say, today I have done 1, 2, 3, 4. How well have I done? Where did I go wrong? But if that space is not respected, then you are rendering your employees unproductive without you noticing. At the end of the day, you find that so many things are touched, but nothing is completed. So it's very important to set boundaries. We set boundaries not to shift our load to other people, things which you know is not, you can't do it. Don't shift it to any other person. Strategize, call for help if it needs more team to do it. But the other thing is respect people's time. They have families, they have other things that they have to do. Let's respect one another. We set boundaries by that. If you receive anything, I will give an example. If I receive something that is outside maybe the working hours, which we normally perpetuate that we don't have because of particular position, I am capacitated enough to say, I have noted the request May I please attend to it first thing in the morning? That is setting a boundary. And we need to respect that, because if we don't, then you lead people to not to give you the best because they are burnt out. We need to respect people when they are on leave. We know leave is not a right, but it's something you discuss with your supervisors. But when people go, sometimes they go with their families. Put somebody to act in your position. Put somebody to do your work. Set boundaries and say, I'm not in. This person will be responsible to carry my responsibilities. So those are the things that I can advise both supervisor or supervisee. We need to do it. And let us be accountable and responsible. That will help us in setting the boundary. Don't leave work unattended to, knowing that you are going away for 2 weeks. That is not accountability. That is not responsibility, regardless of the position where you are. Then that will also help you to say, I have done everything. This is what I'm leaving. This is where it's going to be taken off by so and so. I'm going on leave because I need rest. And we do that. So that's what I can say. Let's set boundaries. Let's respect people. Calls, midnight calls, crisis, yes. If there is no crisis, let's work together. Let's love one another. Let's take care of one another and wait until it's in the morning, and we do that. But if there is crisis that cannot wait, or that can cause a lot of damage, explain it when you talk to whoever you are calling midnight, knowing that they have family, they have responsibility outside work. So we need to be firm and be truthful when we engage in the workplace. Thank you, Sis Rhulani. Maybe I can just continue on the other issue of the boundaries, that which I think it's very important. Let's refrain from engaging people about work, especially when they are sick. We see a lot of patterns that when people are off sick, they will be called. But also let's be able to work in the team, as a team. When we are in the workplace, don't withhold information when you are in the organization, so that you can be loved or be liked, or you are the only one who can give this particular information, because those also cause the organization to follow you wherever you're going, because you are the only one. By the time you do it, you think it's good, but it also disadvantages you. So we also need to refrain from such practices, and try to work as a team and share information. What I know, it must be known by my colleagues, so that if it is required and I'm unable to communicate or to go to work because I'm not well, they can be able to make the organization function. That's what I can indicate on the setting the boundaries. Maybe I will take the advantage, Manrulan, because in HR there are so many things that we can discuss. Um, Maybe one can talk about when to seek help when you are in a work environment. Today, we see a lot of things happening. The past 2 years was something else for everybody. We started the remote work. We are back in the office. They're adjusting calls for the change management. And organization tried their best to make sure that employees are adjusting in that area. But we need to know that in the organization, there is an employee health and wellness that is responsible to ensure that the environment that we work in, it's conducive and it is safe. It's safe in the manner that it complies to all occupational health and safety regulations and the principles that has to be there. It has to be safe to ensure that we are mentally okay to be able to deliver the service that is required within the organization. Employee health and wellness must be also help us to create a free space wherein I will go without shame if I have a challenge. There was this issue in the workplace environment where employee health and wellness were not seen as something that will assist us, but most of the time, or most people will look at it like, if I go to that office, already people assume I have problems, so I'm going to consult, I'm going for counseling, I'm always seen in that office. If it is for the good of your health and your well-being, I will encourage each one of us to utilize those services without being ashamed of it, because we all need it one way or another. We all need somebody to talk to about the issues that affect us daily. In the workplaces, most of the time you find that there are programs that they have on quarterly basis. I remember one day, I need to share this because it's very important. We're having employee health and wellness program where all the services were brought in for physical checkup. You have to go for HIV testing. There were so many things that were supposed to be done. I remember sitting on the queue, proudly holding the form that shows exactly that I'm going to be tested for HIV/AIDS. I remember a remark of one employee who passed through our queue and saying, "Oh, so all of you here, you think you can be HIV positive?" It was to him, it was a joke. And I looked at each one of us and I said, "Sir, as long as you are sexually active, you need to know your status. I'm not ashamed to go and know my status because I'm sexually active." So I'm saying this to say, sometimes when we receive those services, let us not put stigma. Let us not make people not to go and consult freely because we have negative remarks on them. Let's take those things and be assisted. Sometimes they even call psychologists whom we consult to freely in the workplace. Let's use those services because those services are arranged because the employer is caring and the employer is just showing we are with you and we are willing to help you. So I will encourage to say, when you are in workplace, this is part of what HR can provide as services. This is what HR is saying. We are caring for your physical, your mental, and your total being. We care for you because we want something out of you. So sometimes they arrange sports so that you go and you physically become active on those different sports that they arrange. I will encourage all of us to say, as long as you are an employee in your organization and this services is offered to you, take advantage of it and you use it. Man Rhulani, I'm not sure if you are still in. Must I continue with what I think it's critical to know? I think I will continue and communicate with one element. I'm taking advantage of the platform, Rhulani, that we engage. I know Kore, we are about to close on this area. Hello, Papa. Must I continue?
Hello, doctor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I see you have covered quite a number of things that you wanted to talk about. Unless you still have something that you wanted to say?
No, I want to thank you for the opportunity, Rhulani, and say I hope all of us will now understand to say HR, we don't just recruit and fire. There is a lot of things in between, and we must take care of ourselves. And we must know, as employees, we are very important, and the employer need us in balanced mind.
Thank you so much, doctor. And we'd like to say thank you to you for sharing your knowledge. I trust that all our viewers and our listeners, today you learned something new. We now know that the job of HR is not to hire and fire, but it is to support us. They are the service. You know, you're like a Mercedes-Benz going for a service at Mercedes-Benz time and again when you interact with HR. And we'd like to say thank you so much. And our apologies for the technical challenges, but I trust that you all learned something, because I was communicating with most of you. You were saying you could hear Doctor so much, and the most important person tonight was Doctor, because she was the one who was talking to us on this very important element of our workplace. We would like to say thank you for joining us, and we apologize that we took a little bit of your time because we started late. Yes, of course, this is Prudent Woman on Those Moves Radio. We are with you every Sunday, 4 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Next week, I would like to invite you all ladies, please start sending through your questions. We are starting on a series on financial management. We want to talk on wealth management, how we can make 2023 to be a better year by making sure that we look after this wonderful resource that is money. I would like to say thank you, and thank you to our technical team, of course, our executive producer, Pastor Strike, and TJ Macy. Have a blessed week ahead and enjoy yourself. We shall see you next week at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Have a blessed week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.